Welcome to the webinar version of the seminar Beyond Prevention in a World of Regulatory Chaos that was held on the Cybersec Europe 2025 in May. My name is Axel Booltink. I'm the CEO of Comex BV, and I'm busy since about 30 years in the world of IT and secure data storage. During the seminar, the show, we asked how many of the audience feel confident that they are compliant with the cybersecurity regulations. Some raised their hand, others didn't. But remarkable on the second question, how many of them are confident that they can recover quickly and completely? Not so many raised their hand, at least less than compared to the first question. And that makes sense, given the current focus on compliance and prevention, with the greatest recent efforts probably being put on compliance, hence our title, Regulatory Chaos. Some statistics that we see here out of the VM Data Recovery Report from 2025 set the tone and understripe the situation. Organizations are investing massively in compliance and prevention, firewalls, endpoint security, awareness, training, but no system is 100% secure. The reality is that cyber attacks keep happening no matter how good your security is. The following quote was one of the main takeaways during the Commvault Shift event earlier this year. So it is not the question if you're attacked, but it's a question how often. And our key message here is that cyber resilience goes far beyond compliance and prevention. Let's discover how to achieve true cyber resilience in an era of regulatory chaos and constant cyber threats. For this, we take a look at the compliance cyber resilience puzzle. True resilience means complete and rapid recovery whilst maintaining critical business processes during cyber incidents. And of course, this starts with compliance. Organizations must comply with regulations. Compliance is a requirement, but it does not guarantee cyber resilience. And of course, you have to prevent, to protect your system, to prevent it from attackers. So firewalls, encryption, endpoint security, everything is crucial, but it doesn't make your system 100% secure. We see that. As important part of the puzzle is the detection and the response. How quickly do you get notified about an intrusion, and how effectively can you respond? Incident response is key to minimize the impact of an attack. And of course, the business continuity is very important. Can your critical operations continue even if systems are compromised? Zero loss means data recovery is not a bottleneck, but a strategic advantage. And last but not least, the puzzle for the data classification combined with a good storage strategy. A clear separation between backup and archive, and a separation between critical data and less critical data reduce recovery time and minimizes risks. So organizations must define which data needs instant recovery and which can be securely stored without restoration at all, or maybe without immediate restoration. Why these 5 puzzle pieces? Compliance and prevention get the most attention, but they are not enough. Detection, response, business continuity, and a strategic storage approach makes a real difference. And zero loss is only possible when all puzzle pieces fit together. Compliance, of course, is not enough because compliance is not security. The criminals, the attackers, and the cyber threats, they evolve much faster than our regulations. Regulations are most of the time reactive. So being compliant does not mean being protected. As an example, we can see the case of Schlatter Industries, a Swiss manufacturer of welding machines. They suffered a cyber attack in August 2024, which meant 10 days operational shutdown. The company's IT network was compromised, it disrupted the production, and orders were delayed. And as a result, they reported lower than expected annual results. And this highlights how cyber threats impact not only security, but also business operations and revenue. But what went wrong there? Likely, they met compliance requirements, but that was not enough to prevent or to quickly recover from the attack, because the recovery took 10 days, and that means there was no good disaster recovery and no good backup strategy, at least not good enough for this attack. The operations were disrupted, and that means they also did not have a good business continue plan beyond the compliance requirements. And this leads to hidden and not hidden financial costs, including supply chains delays and customer trust erosions. So, compliance is just the starting point. It establishes a security baseline, but it does not ensure cyber resilience. Organizations need a recovery-first approach, including air-gap backups, instant recovery, and proactive resilience planning. The longer recovery takes, the greater the financial and reputational damage. Now that we've seen how compliance alone does not prevent severe operational damage, the next question is, what happens after an attack? Many organizations focus heavily on preventing attacks, but that's not enough because no system is 100% secure, and an attack will happen at some point, and someday it will be successful. So the real question is not just how to prevent an attack, but how to recover quickly and without loss when it does happen. The impact of such an attack is measured in downtime, financial loss, and operational disruption, not just in stolen data. And if we realize that the average cost of downtime is estimated at thousands to millions euros per hour, of course depending on the industry, it is obvious that the longer the systems remain down, the greater is the financial damage and, of course, also the reputational damage. And as Schlatter Industries shows, even larger, well-secured companies struggle with recovery if they lack resilience. Why is that so? Common reasons are that the backups are compromised. The attackers target backups first because they want to prevent recovery. Another problem are slow recovery times. That means the data is accessible, but not quick enough. You cannot restore fast enough, and that, of course, enhances the downtime. And another one that is really important is the lack of the coordination after an attack, not to have a recovery plan. So nobody is prepared. So we have to move our organization, our mindset beyond prevention to a recovery first mindset. A true cyber resilience strategy focuses on immutable and air-gap backups that protect against hackers to damage our backups, that protect against ransomware encryption. We have to establish instant recovery solutions to reduce the downtime, and we have to classify our data between critical backups, less critical backups, archive data to speed up our recovery time, because smaller backups, of course, can be restored faster. So our takeaway is organizations must shift from a prevention-only mindset to a recovery-first strategy to achieve zero loss. But what means zero loss? Zero loss means no critical data is lost. The loss of time is as small as possible, so there's no time lost in the recovery, and we keep the control of our data. And this leads to a good and quick response to an attack. But how can we achieve true zero loss? To reach zero loss, Organizations need to rethink their data protection and recovery strategies. It's not just about having backups, it's about having the right kind of backups, having them available, and having a clear separation between backup and archive. Let's have a look at each of these three individual pillars of the zero loss strategy. The first pillar is the immutable and air-gapped backup. Attackers target the backups to prevent recovery, of course. Immutable storage ensures that a backup cannot be modified, altered, or deleted, even by an attacker. An air-gap backup creates a physical separation from the primary network, protecting against hackers that succeed to get into the management interface and maybe not destroy the backup, but destroy the whole storage part where the backup is on. And if you combine those two, the immutability and the air gap, then you significantly increase the recovery capabilities, of course. The second pillar is about the recovery, instant or rapid recovery, live recovery. Point is, recover as fast as possible, restore your data as fast as possible. You must have a fast and automated recovery process that restores data almost instantly to minimize the downtime. A physically air-gap backup significantly shortens the recovery period if it is fast enough. So you have to have your air-gap also on a fast medium. And of course, if you're an industrial organization, a separation between IT and OT, information technology and operational technology, can help in limiting downtime for crucial processes because you can easily just restore that part that is now at the moment the most crucial. The third pillar is about the data classification and the storage strategy that comes with it. Not all data needs to be restored immediately, and maybe you even have data that are static, so you can store them in a way that you do not need to recover them at all because they are not mutable at all. Why does it matter to distinguish between crucial data, less crucial data, and archive data? Because the smaller the backup footprint, the faster you can recover. Archive data can remain intact and accessible without slowing down recovery operations if they are stored on the right storage. So, to summarize that, these three pillars are the fundamentals of a true zero-loss strategy. Beyond security, zero loss has a direct financial and operational impact. A faster recovery means, of course, lower downtime costs, thousands up to millions euros per hour. If you have your data, if you can access your data, if you can restore your data, you don't have to pay ransom. So no financial loss to the attacker. And of course, if you comply with the regulatories, then you don't have the risk, or at least lower risk, of fines and penalties because of not to be complied. Fast LTI delivers two kinds of storage systems to support zero loss strategy, to support cyber resilience. And these are those two systems that are shown here. The Sun Brick, that is our backup and recovery storage unit. It supports air-gap in this nice small replaceable thing. This thing is called SoundBreak Pro, and it's very fast, 6 GB per second, so it also is suitable for a very fast recovery, what is important. as we have seen before in the 3 pillars. So we have the air-gapped backup in our fast LTA sound bricks. We have a fast recovery in it. We can protect it additionally with snapshots and S3 object lock. And it is for every backup use case fast and reliable enough. On the other hand, we have the sound cubes. That is an archival storage that has hardware immutability based on a warm controller. That means everything you put on that cannot be altered in any way. It's absolutely hardware immutable, like on a CD or a DVD. You cannot change the data on it. And that means if you cannot change the data, you don't have to protect them against changes because they cannot be changed. That means you don't have to back up them. But of course, this only works for data that must not change indeed. So if you separate your data into data that have to be backupped and data that are static that you can put on an archive, you just can reduce the size of your backup. And that means, again, speed up your recovery. As an example, we've had a hospital that has a ransomware attack, and they had about 800 terabyte of medical imaging data on our warm storage. And of course, these data were not altered by the attacker, by the ransomware, because it is not possible. That means that the hospital did not have to decrypt again 800 terabyte of medical data. They have been all the time available. So this saves, of course, a lot of time and money and downtime. So if we put this all together, we realize that compliancy is not security. It's just a baseline, but you have to go beyond that. You have to be prepared for the situation when an attack happens, and you have to prepare to recover fast. So even prevention is not enough, because prevention is never 100% secure, and therefore it doesn't prevent data loss. Prevention tries to prevent attackers, but it's not always 100%. So to get zero loss, to get true cyber resilience, you have to put it all together, all the 5 puzzle pieces that we've seen before, including immutable air-gapped backups, rapid recovery, data classifications, recovery plans, tabletop exercises. And this means a proactive recovery first mindset. Our systems, the systems of fast LTE, have been proven to be effective in compliant, cyber resilient storage in various industries. Just the last quote before ending this webinar. Cyber resilience is not just about stopping attacks, it's about ensuring they don't stop you. Thank you for your interest in this webinar. If you have any further questions or just want to discuss with me or my colleagues about cyber resilience and zero loss strategies, just drop an email or take a look at our website to get in touch with us. Thanks again.